Now, if you're thinking about selling your Rhode Island home in 2022, I'm going to tell you what you need to know to make the right decision for you and your family, and I'm going to do that right now. Hey there, I'm Jess Powers, and today I want to talk a little bit about making a decision about whether or not it makes sense for you to sell your home now or to wait. Now, of course, if you've been following the news and following trends, you know your home is worth a whole lot more money today than it was when you bought it. Even if you bought it yesterday, values, they just keep going up so fast that they're literally changing by the day. Now, if you bought your home 10 years ago or 5 years ago, your home could be worth double what you paid for it. It's amazing. So you're deciding, what do I do? Do I sell now? Do I stay? All right, so I'm gonna give you a few different options because you're probably gonna fall into one of three buckets. Bucket number one is you're thinking, man, the value of my home is so high right now. Let me sell, let me cash out. I'll just rent something. Well, you can do that, but you're gonna get a great price for your home, and that's fantastic. The problem is you're gonna rent. So while you've been tracking the value of your home, what you probably haven't been tracking as much is what's happening with rents. Well, here's what I'm gonna tell you. Rents have gone up nationwide by about 17% in the last 12 months. 17%. So everything's gone up, right? I mean, we know inflation has gone up. Well, rent is part of what's going up as well with home prices. So that apartment you used to rent or that house you used to rent before you bought, well, that thing is a whole lot more expensive than it was a few years ago when you were renting. So you're gonna have to be prepared to pay a pretty penny to rent something here in Rhode Island, no matter what town you're considering. I see one-bedroom apartments renting for well over $1,600 a month today, and that's if you can even get somebody on the phone. If you're looking for a house, well, you're gonna be probably upwards in $2,300 to $2,500 a month. And that's frankly on the low end. You want a bigger house, you're gonna be paying $4,500, $6,500, all the way up to $10,000 a month. Be prepared for that. It can eat up every cent that you have gained really quickly. Also, be prepared for the fact that rents are gonna go up again in 2022. A lot of homeowners' property taxes have gone up pretty significantly, and landlords are gonna be shifting that burden to renters. So where you rent today, when you sign your lease to renew it in 2023, it might be even higher. So you gotta think about that as well. Now, the other thing to be prepared for is while you watch rent go up a year from now, when you look back at what happened to the house and the value of your house that you sold a year ago, you might kick yourself because values are gonna go up substantially this year. Most of the predictions nationwide are that they're talking about 7% appreciation, 5 to 7%. But having been a realtor for nearly a decade, I've got a lot of experience. I follow a lot of national data and pay attention to the numbers and other markets that they're reporting. I love to nerd out on this stuff. That way I can help my clients be better informed. So I actually believe in Rhode Island, we're gonna see a higher appreciation, likely closer to probably 10%. Now, let's go with a minus 3% on that, so anywhere from 7 to 13%. But if you're gonna pin me down, I think we're gonna see about 10%. So if you wanna sell and go rent someplace that's extremely expensive, it's only gonna get more expensive, or do you wanna hold on to that house, take advantage of another 10% on top of all the appreciation that you've already got? Frankly, I think it's a pretty easy decision to make there. So I would recommend actually that you hold on to your house unless you have a specific place to move to or you've got access to a cheap rental. Now isn't the time to bail because you think the market is gonna crash. It's not. There will still be people looking for your home next year and even the year after that. So, hey, I might be one of the only realtors that's gonna tell you don't sell your house, but I tell it straight to my clients. Let's make sure that you're making a move that is best for you and your family, and now might not be the time to sell. So what if you have to sell? Or maybe you really are just ready to move out of the state. Maybe you don't like Rhode Island anymore, or maybe the political climate here is just not your jam, or you've got an awesome job opportunity elsewhere. Maybe you're tired to Rhode Island's really long winters. I hear you. Now, whatever the case, in this scenario, we're just gonna assume that you are moving. All right, so cash in, make a ton of money, We'll put a plan in place to make sure that happens. You got to know that when you sell as a single person, you're going to be tax-free up to $250,000. And if you're married, then that cap is $500,000 as long as you've lived there. It's been your primary residence for the past 2 years. You won't have to pay capital gains on top of that. There are other options though. If your tax burden is going to be higher, we can defer all of those gains if they're expected to be higher, but it does take planning and it takes a specialized person to help you. So if you're moving out of state, you may be able to take all of that equity that you have gained here, buy a home with cash somewhere else. You might be able to get twice as much home for the same price in a market that's lower priced than here in Rhode Island. There are a lot of places where it is cheaper. So you got to make sure you understand the tax implications of selling. Let me help you again to be able to get the biggest bang for your buck and don't overpay in taxes. I also have a really amazing network of realtors nationwide that I'm connected to. So if you plan to buy in another area, then I can help you find a realtor that's going to be a great fit for you rather than you just finding some random agent off of Redfin. So let's make sure, nothing against Redfin, but let's make sure that you get a plan in place and that you've got the right people in place on your team helping you with that. Okay, so then here's the third bucket that some people fall into. And honestly, I think this is the one that really makes sense for a lot of people right now. Sell and move up. I've got a lot of clients that I've helped, really, especially over the past 2 years that have been doing this. They love their first home, but they've outgrown it, or maybe the neighborhood isn't really where they want to be anymore, or they want a little bit more space because they're growing their family. So they want to move up to a bigger home and they've gained a ton of equity over the past several years. I have clients right now that I'm working with. They bought a home on the West End. I helped them buy that in Providence in 2017. They paid, I think it was $185 for that house. I'm going to be listing it for probably around $525. We're still working on exactly where that price is depending on when they're ready to sell. So they've got a ton of equity. They're trading up for a beautiful home in Cumberland that we've got under contract right now. So they were in a position where they were able to have family members to help them sort of bridge that loan. So they're buying now and then they're gonna sell. And it is just such an exciting opportunity for them. I'm so excited for them. They're literally gonna triple the size of their home. They're gonna be in a neighborhood where they're gonna feel great about their kids riding bikes on the street. It's awesome to be able to be a part of that. I have had some folks who have been able to keep their first home and just rent it out because again, it's so hard to find rentals right now and the rent prices. So I matched them with a lender who crunched those numbers and the lender said, you know what? We can rent that out, we can use that income and you're still gonna qualify because you make more now than you did then. So you're gonna be able to buy a bigger home in an area that you want and keep that rental. That's going to defer that mortgage. You know, for a lot of people, that's just not going to work and it makes more sense for them to sell in order to buy the new home. But the key point is we make a plan, we look at all of your options and we create a strategy. There are a lot of different options that we can put in place to make that transition work for you. We just have to talk through it. And here's the thing. Yes, if you wait another year to sell your current home, you might be able to sell it for higher value next year. But wait a minute, the house that you're gonna buy, it's also gonna appreciate in value. So it's kind of a wash. So you really have to look at what makes the most sense in terms of timing, talk to your lender, talk to your real estate agent and figure it out. Don't just randomly wait because you're just not ready or you just think that it's not gonna work right now, even though you would really love to do that. So your price is gonna appreciate. So you know, let's call it 10% this year. I mean, do you want to be in the lower priced asset or the higher priced asset? Logically, if you're looking at appreciated value, you want the higher priced asset. So if you're thinking about moving up, it really does make a ton of sense right now. All right, so if you're watching this video, you're thinking about selling, you want to get an expert opinion on what your home could sell for in today's market, and then also explore where you could go, what your options are. Well, that's what I'm here to do to guide you through this whole process. So give me a call, shoot me a text at the number down below. I'd love the opportunity to help guide you through the process. I'm Jess Powers, and I'm always here to help.